I like being on the other side where I'm the person recording but not talking, because I do that too. So EFT. So we're going to learn what it is and how it works, why it's good for stress and overwhelm, why we want and what we get are two different things, what limiting beliefs are, where they come from, and how we can get rid of our old belief patterns and adopt new beliefs that serve us, which who can't use that? I can't. So yeah, my experiences with EFT and matrix reimprinting are solely from Sorcha, really, where I had a session with her, the end of last year, I guess, when we met. And it was totally not what I expected, which she knows, and I've said it a million times, because I am not an emotional person. Crying's not my gig. So when uncontrollable tears just start coming down, even if you try to stop them, I was like, what the hell? So it's very powerful technique. So if anybody has worked with Sorcha one-on-one, I'm sure you can vouch for that. And actually being raw here, like even to say that I cry is like a thing. So maybe Sorcha and I should work more on that. But so let's go ahead, because this is going to be sort of a general workshop that introduces it and some simple techniques that we can use most likely on a daily basis, but I'll let Sorcha fill us all in on that. And for what is our topic today? What are we doing generally? I'll let you hop in and take over, because I don't know what's going on any more than starting it.
Okay, well, I'll definitely answer all those questions that you've put out, and then, you know, if people have something that comes up for them that they'd like to tap on, then we can do that, or we can do a general one. So we'll see what comes up after a while, after we've talked, if that sounds good to everybody. But please chirp in with questions, or if something's not clear, just ask me to clarify things for you. I have a bit of a tickly throat today, so I am really, really sorry about that. Hi, Bea. Welcome. Good to see you. So yes, so I'll get started. And as I say, if anything's not clear, please do ask me to explain it better. Sometimes when I know what I'm talking about, and then I don't say it clearly because I think, oh, everybody can follow me. So EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, sometimes now more commonly known as tapping, because that is quite literally what we do. We use our fingertips to tap on certain points of the head, the face, the body, and the hand. And the points that we tap on would be meridian points in the body. Sometimes EFT has been described as sort of acupressure with modern psychology, only without the needles. So when we're tapping, what we're actually doing is if we think of ourselves as an energy system, where everything in the world is energy. And sometimes people don't grasp tapping or EFT because they don't quite understand the concept of energy and everything as moving at a certain vibration or a certain frequency, and energy getting stuck and slowing down or stopping, that kind of thing. If you can keep that in your mind, it makes it easier to understand EFT. So because we're all an energy system, and energy runs through our body and gets affected at different times with different things, when we are tapping, we're sending like a kinetic energy, moving the energy through the body. And that's what we're doing once we start tapping. We also, as we tap, there's a part of the brain, and this sort of covers the point about stress and overwhelm. There's a part of the brain just at the back of the ears called the amygdala. And it's an ancient part of the brain that deals with the fight or flight response. It's sort of like our survival response center. And it's the part of the brain that triggers when we become stressed, when we get a fright, a scare. And it is designed, I'm sure you have heard, it's designed to trigger at times, like years ago, when you would have gotten threatened threats by, you know, the saber-toothed tiger, ancient times. But that part of the brain still exists for us today. The only thing is that it gets triggered now when we're sitting in a traffic jam, when the phone is ringing off the hook, when we've emails to answer, and life becomes bedlam, and we're just stressed. And the amygdala is firing all the time, which is not what it was designed to do. And when the amygdala fires or triggers, there's a lot of chemicals that are released into the body, such as adrenaline, cortisol, different levels of cortisol that can peak. And it sends a chemical imbalance. It can send a chemical imbalance into the body. And because it's constantly being triggered, we sort of never get the opportunity to settle all of that back down into a balance. When we tap, we are actually sending a calming signal to the amygdala for it to settle down, for it to slow down and settle down again so that it stops triggering. And the problem with the amygdala being overworked is things like cortisol that are too high in the body. They actually holds on to fat. It makes it very difficult for us to lose weight, especially around the midriff. So cortisol would increase our appetite, and it would hold on and store fat. So when we have high levels of cortisol in the body, you can tend to find then that you put on maybe a bit more extra weight, stress related. And then no matter you start into the dieting process, and it becomes a vicious circle because your cortisol levels are high and you're trying to diet and you're wondering why it's not working, but you're just getting more and more stress, and then there's more cortisol. So yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Got to unmute yourself.
Michelle, would you like to ask a question?
Unmute, hold on.
Oh, there she goes. Okay. I didn't know if I had to do it or you had to do it. Sorcha, I have to tell you that this past summer I did a clinical study with the university in Australia with Peter Stapleton, and it was related to EFT and food cravings. And it was so interesting. And people saw amazing results. I had been doing EFT for a while just for stress, and didn't make the connection that EFT can be basically used for anything that ails you. And so I found out about this wonderful clinical study that was 100% free. And it took us through everything and the statements, the whole 9 yards, but the whole weight thing, like it didn't really, I know that there are Jessica Ordners out there doing all of this, but that whole connection, like it didn't register with me until I took that clinical study. And it was really, really interesting, but it makes so much sense what you're saying with the cortisol, because if your cortisol is constantly being released, you're not going to be able to lose the weight. It's not going to happen. And I think that
nobody tells you that when you're trying to lose the weight. Nobody tells you that.
Right, exactly. And I just recently, well, not recently, like in the past year or two, started really getting to my clients and talking to them more about how stress really, we always think about stress and our health and everything else, but people don't connect that cortisol release and how that constant flow is going to hinder their weight loss efforts. You know, and even though I don't focus on weight loss at all, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that you have to learn to manage your stress, or else it's never going to happen, you know. But it's so interesting that a lot of people just don't connect that, and EFT is so great for that. So thank you for reminding me.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I mean, you hear it in scientific studies now, and you hear it from medics and doctors about stress being the number one cause of, you know, the reason we get depression, maybe heart disease, different things that happen in our bodies. And the precursor is stress, the stress in our life, and how we're unable to manage our stress. And EFT is particular. Even a few minutes of tapping is so good for just calming all of that down, because it does send that signal to the amygdala. It helps it to calm down and to restore balance eventually. And moving the energy through the body, which is so important. The other thing, EFT is really, really good because we're working with the two different minds, okay? So we're working with the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. And this where it comes in of why what we want and what we get are two different things. So if you think of the conscious mind, the thinking mind, it's the part of the mind that is concerned, the creative mind. It's, you know, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? That kind of thing. And it's also the part of the mind that we use for reading, the part of the mind that we use for positive thoughts. And then we wonder why the positive thoughts don't happen, why, you know, we're doing all this positive thinking, so why aren't good things happening? Well, it's in the background that the subconscious mind is working. So the subconscious mind, which is running probably, well, 95 to 99% of the programming, it's running the show. So the conscious mind is running maybe 2 to 5%, the subconscious mind running the rest of the show. And it's not that the subconscious mind is bad. We don't label it. It's not the subconscious mind that's bad. It's the programming that has been done with the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind downloads all your beliefs, your memories. It is downloading all this information. And in actual fact, the subconscious mind can interpret 40,000 pieces of environmental stimuli per second. That is a lot of information. The conscious mind, maybe 40 pieces of information. So there's a big difference there. The subconscious mind is 1,000,000 times more powerful. So when you are downloading all those programs, you're creating these programs and downloading them from the age of 0 to approximately 6 years of age, maybe 7 years of age. And you're going about in that state, in that age, 0 to 6 years of age, in a hypnotic state, a state that is just downloading all the information. You're not thinking like an adult. You don't have the conscious thinking of an adult. You're bypassing all of that, and it's straight into the subconscious. So, for instance, perhaps as a child, you were told that if you didn't clear your plate, if you didn't eat all of your dinner, then you were a naughty girl or you were bad. And therefore you create this belief that, well, if I don't eat all my food, I'm bad. Then perhaps later on in life you think, well, I have to eat everything in order for me to be good. That's just a rough idea of perhaps a belief that you've made. And all these programs are running the show. They're all running the show in the background. So when we think a positive thought, or we think, oh, what would we like to be? Oh, I'd like to be an astronaut. But the subconscious mind, which is downloaded programming from your parents, your grandparents, your teachers, your siblings, just the environment around you. If the conscious mind and the subconscious mind are both running two different programs, they both think differently, and they're not married up, then you have the conscious mind that is much weaker than the subconscious mind telling you what you want to be, and the subconscious mind that's running all the programs of why you can't be that. You're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not intelligent enough, you're not rich enough, you weren't born in the right part of time. All the beliefs of why you can't be this. So when you want something or you want to be something, but you don't achieve it and you're wondering why you're not achieving it, if the subconscious mind and the conscious mind are not running the same program and they don't marry up, then you're putting the two of them against each other, and the subconscious mind is going to win every time. It's a much more powerful processor. It's in charge. So what EFT does is it helps us to access the subconscious mind. It helps us to access our belief systems, where we made those belief systems, so that we can resolve them, that we can change that energy, that we can change our perception. So without getting into too much technical quantum physics of it all, if you think of our bodies, science has now proven that our bodies, we're not We're not a victim to our hereditary. Our bodies are responding to our environment. Okay, our bodies are a physical structure, but they're energy. And the particles of our body are responding to the environment around us. So when we're unhealthy, when we're unhappy, it's a response to the environment. It's how we perceive our environment. That is, yes, go on ahead, B. You're on mute. Oh, there you are.
Just go back to when you just said about that science has now proven that. Can you just repeat it, because you said it and I was like, oh my god, that's so amazing, and then I was like, what did she actually say? I was just caught up in like, wow, that's mind-blowing, and then I was like, I don't know how to repeat it.
Yeah, so okay,
she's like, I don't know how I did it.
I don't have to repeat that again. I mightn't word it exactly the same, but I will try.
Yeah, no, I know.
So we're not victims to our hereditary. So where we believe, oh, it's in my genes that I, will have heart disease, or it's in my genes that I'm going to be fat, or it's in my genes. It has been proven now that in actual fact, it is our cells. So our cells that make up our physical being, our cells that are our energy, our particles. And it is our cells' perception, it's our perception of our environment, how we perceive our environment, how we read our environment, the information we download from our environment, that affects us, affects our cells. Okay? So for instance, okay, I'll give you an example. So say, for instance, just imagine that you're in the most beautiful villa with an infinity pool, with a view of the ocean, and every day you're like, oh, this is, I wake up to heaven, this is beautiful. Versus a high-rise flat or building in, say, central London, overlooking a dump and overlooking a chemical factory or a chemical plant. Really, are you going to be excited about getting up every morning and drinking your coffee and looking at that environment, or the environment of the ocean or forest or whatever it may be for you? So that then you begin to perceive your environment, you begin to make decisions and make choices and make beliefs about your environment around you, which then can impact your health. It starts to then impact the physical of your cells. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Go on ahead.
Oh, hold on. Let me find you. I see you. Hold on. Unmute.
Hi again. I can't wait till the end to ask this question because it's for purely selfish reasons.
That's okay.
I'm being honest. I was supposed to actually work with somebody who does imprinting, and we were going to...
Wait a second. Matrix reimprinting?
Yes.
Okay.
And she wound up not deciding to work with me because we were going to trade services, and then she decided she didn't want to do it. So whatever. That was the first time I ever heard of matrix imprinting. But the reason why I wanted to work with her was because, as many of you know, I suffer with depression. And I really wanted to get off my meds. And I still do, but I'm still terrified because every time I've done it, it has been a bloody disaster. And I mean, like, want to jump off a bridge disaster, really, really bad. So, and to put my body through that again, really hard, because every time I have to, or I choose to go back on the meds because I can't function, I have to go back on a higher dose. So I don't want to keep doing that. I've done it 3 times, and it's frightening. It really is frightening, but it's also frightening on some level to think about being on meds for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Because thankfully at this point I don't have any side effects, but it's medication. So let's face it, there are definitely side effects. So have you worked with people that have had success going off their medication, people who are clinically depressed?
Yeah, I was one of those people. You know, I was on medication. I was on the highest dose of medication, and I really couldn't see a way out, Michelle. I couldn't see how my life was ever going to get any better, and it was. And like that, I thought, you know, what are my options here? To stay on medication for the rest of my life and to stay in this dark hole, or I had to find what worked for me. And this is what worked for me. And I had tried a lot of things before this, but this is what had worked for me. And I you know, off them, never went on them again, have never needed to go on them again. Now I will never, ever work with somebody and say to them, oh, come off your medication. That can only be decided by a doctor, you know. So I will never, I'm not qualified to make that kind of call. And it's always about how the person feels within themselves. But, you know, if you think about the power of the mind, if you think about the power of your thoughts and how your thoughts have a frequency, and why you think a certain way and why you're depressed, and you will know of why you are depressed, you know, that's for certain. And there are different modalities, there are different, you know, if EFT didn't work for one person, something else might work for them, you know. So, but you never got the opportunity to try matrix reimprinting. So EFT, not all EFT practitioners are matrix reimprinting trained. Right. I am matrix reimprinting trained, and I did train with Carl Dawson. I did all my training with Carl Dawson, and it was Carl Dawson who did his training with Gary Craig, who is the founder of EFT, and it is Carl Dawson who actually founded matrix reimprinting. So I decided to do all of my training with him. And the matrix reimprinting, what matrix reimprinting does is it helps you to access. So if you think of the energy field, okay, so we're surrounded by lots of different fields of energy, but the energy field, the matrix, which in actual fact, scientists have not found the part of the brain where we store memory. Okay, so it is believed that our memories are stored in the matrix, they're stored in the field, and that when we start to tap, we start to access and download those different memories. So quite often I'll have people who maybe say to me, you know, I have no memories before a certain age. And when we start tapping, all of a sudden, they'll be able to access memories. Not in an overwhelming way, but in a way where they access the memory that is relevant to what they need to resolve. In matrix reimprinting, we never ever change the memory. You can't, it has happened. But in matrix reimprinting, what we find out is we try to go back to the earliest memory, and we discover the belief that was made at that time. The belief that you made about yourself, or the belief that you made about the environment around you. And quite often it's a negative belief, it's a limiting belief, it's a belief that we have to keep us safe, to protect us in that time. It's usually a belief made in trauma. And what we do is we help resolve the trauma, so we resolve it completely, and then help a new belief, create a new belief. Does that make sense? Okay, so I knew what was depressing me. I knew that what was causing my depression, which was child abuse. That's what was causing me my depression. I didn't see it coming. You know, I was sauntering along, life was good, and that's it. It happened, boom, out of the blue. But once I resolved that trauma, gone. I didn't have the issue anymore. And the limiting beliefs that we make, as I said, we make them between the ages of 0 to 6. And those limiting beliefs we carry with us throughout life until we start to change them. And they're held in the subconscious, and we don't need to think about them. There's hundreds of limiting beliefs running. So your conscious mind might think, you know, oh, I'd like 200,000 in the bank, and I'd like, you know, the Range Rover, and I'd like this, and I'd like that. And the subconscious mind is going, yeah, but you don't deserve it because you're not good enough and it's never going to happen. And then look at the shape of you, or look at the state of you, and you're not smart enough, and you can't hold down a job, or you can't even lose the weight that you put on, and you think that you deserve this. Blah, 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 blah. And it's going on and on and on. And oh, Jesus, when you can't shut it off. And they're the limiting beliefs that overrule the conscious mind. Okay? So, but they're also the beliefs that we have that make our world make sense. Our environment makes sense, our world makes sense, it's what we expect. You know, we want something really good, but we're going to expect that we're not going to get it. So great, it doesn't happen, and then we're proved right, and our world continues to make sense. Do you understand? Yeah? So
let me ask you something. Okay, so because probably all of us here have the awareness, I mean, I love what you're saying, but this just popped in my head, so I have to say. We have the awareness that we've got this limiting beliefs or the subconscious mind that's like probably preventing us from being enormously successful or being a world speaker or whatever we have our visions for. So does the awareness of having those help to shift them, or is the subconscious mind, in your opinion, still going, fuck you, this is our belief and this is what we're thinking, and shit for your goal?
Yeah, because that's you then thinking with the conscious mind going, oh, okay, I've recognized that, but I really want this. So there's that wee small processor that's deciding to take on this big massive processor called the subconscious mind going, oh, you know, okay, I've called you on it, I hear you, but I'm going to beat you. It's not going to beat. So that's why you have to do the subconscious work. There's lots of different ways of doing subconscious work. This is just the way I work, you know, but there are other ways out there of being able to do subconscious work and change beliefs. This is the way that worked for me. It's the way that I love and I'm passionate about, and I know how to do it. So yes, you can recognize it. I mean, I know I still have limiting beliefs that I'm probably still not aware of, but it's just peel the next layer and the next layer and the next layer, and just keep clearing it, you know. But you can do it with the EFT because you'll change your perception as you clear your energy, you know. And the limiting beliefs that you carry, you continue to create and attract similar circumstances so that the same beliefs get played out, so that then you can reinforce them, so that then you know you're right, and then you know that your word makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yes, Michelle.
I have so much to say. Blah, 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 blah. And I will definitely talk to you offline, but I have to ask then, do you believe that, and I know enough to know that this is one person's opinion, professional opinion, and also personal experience. Do you believe that depression can be a chemical imbalance? Or, you know, is the whole purpose of the EFT to heal the issue that's causing the depression?
Okay, well, first of all, a chemical imbalance is, you know, that's a physical response. Why is there a chemical imbalance? Do you know, like when we talk about the amygdala firing and getting stressed and causing, you know, a surge of adrenaline and a surge of cortisol, that's a chemical imbalance. When your serotonin and your melatonin levels get the wrong way around, and you're awake at 2 o'clock in the morning, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and at 9 o'clock in the morning you can't scrape your ass out of bed, that's a chemical imbalance. But why is it a chemical imbalance? Where is the stress? What is causing that chemical imbalance?
See, what the interesting thing was that I didn't realize until I did more research on this, because this is a topic that I'm obviously very passionate about, but that it's not always the chemical issue, that it's sometimes the firing of the is it the neuron firing the you know, I don't know, I'm not using the right words, but that it's not firing properly. So even if your serotonin levels are at their maximum level, but that isn't always the issue. A lot of times it's that it's not firing properly.
Yes, but serotonin, first of all, serotonin is not made in the brain, which a lot of people think it is.
Right.
It's down in the gut, down in the stomach area.
Right.
So, you know, if that's all not functioning right, then you're definitely not going to be producing serotonin levels. If you were on a serotonin antidepressant, it's not creating serotonin either. The depressant, that's a serotonin antidepressant, it's not creating serotonin either in the body. So it's not. It's I believe that depressant is simply to just utilize whatever serotonin you have, but it's not actually helping you create more serotonin levels. But if something physically isn't working in the body that way, then why is it not working in the body? Yes, you know, I mean, I'm not a doctor and I don't know, and you know, of course you get all those tests and find out. But for me, and I can only speak for me because it's my own experience, and for me, the depression, it wasn't caused by something physical. I became physically unwell with depression because of something that happened to me. You know?
Yeah.
And I needed to resolve that. There wasn't a part of me broken.
Yeah, I think for me I wish it were just one thing for me. I think it's many years, but I won't get into that. I just,
Michelle, please don't be thinking that it was only one thing for me. It wasn't one thing for me.
Okay.
It was the trigger.
I see.
But it wasn't just one thing. I had a lot to resolve.
Right.
You know, I mean, Carrie, I'm sure, can attest to this. You know, growing up in Northern Ireland was not easy for me. It wasn't a very pleasant place to grow up. I had lots of horrible memories. They all had to be resolved. Pretty horrific ones had to be resolved. You know, so please don't be thinking that it was just the one thing. It certainly wasn't, but it was the trigger. It was the you know, it broke the camel's back. It was the final straw.
I understand. Thank you.
And I can tell you here and now, you know, I was in a very bad place. I really didn't think. So do not give up. Do not give up, because you will find what works for you. You will find what works for you, and it will work. It will work, and you deserve it. Everybody deserves it. Nobody deserves to live in that dark place. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. And you know, and I couldn't understand why I was going through my journey at the time. I really couldn't understand it. I hated it. But when I came out through the other side, I always swore it wouldn't have been in vain. Even if it was just to help one other person, to not want to end it, or to think that their life wasn't worthwhile, I always swore, you know what, it was worth it, and I wouldn't have changed a thing. And I still wouldn't change a thing. And I went through some really dark days, you know? But you gotta get the feistiness in you that says, you know what, screw that, I deserve better. I was put here for something else.
And we all know Sorcha's super feisty.
Yeah, I do.
She is.
I am.
She's like, this is how it is, and I'm not putting up with that shit. That's how Sorcha is.
That was it. I thought, you know what, screw this. If you think I came through all of that shit to give up in the end, I don't think so. No. And I'd be damned if somebody was going to get the better of me because he was a prick. No. You know, definitely not. Definitely not. It was, yeah. So I've lost my train of thought.
Well, I have a question to kind of go back to it, because this popped up at the beginning when you were talking about the meridians. So I'm not that familiar. I mean, I know of it, but I'm not that familiar with it. So, and you'll probably get to this. So if I'm like skipping ahead, just
no, not at all.
Therese, I'm getting to that. That's the 5th bullet down. I know what I'm doing. So so all like the spots, you know, that you tap on, are associated with meridians. Is there like a map that that labels, there probably is, I just don't know this, that labels what the meridian is that those spots are attached to and what function it serves?
Yes, actually. There is a, I'll try to send it to you later, and then you can maybe post it on your group.
Okay.
It'll be helpful. I'll try and find it. For instance, if you had a nervous stomach, you know the way when you're like, oh God, you know, you feel nervous or anxious about something, under the eye, just tapping there is a really good one. So self-sabotage. So in EFT, we call it psychological reversal. So it's where you make, you know, all the reasons why you can't have something, all the reasons that you sabotage yourself. And the 2 points that you would focus there on for that would be the karate chop point, just the fleshy part of the hand. And then there's a part, it's called the sore point sometimes. So if you can imagine your collarbone and you drop down about an inch and in about an inch, there's like a dip. And if you rub it, it is sore. And that's another really good one for psychological reversal, for sabotage, for, I mean, the reasons you are absolutely convinced that you cannot change or cannot achieve something or cannot do something. So they're the 2 points. But I'll post that later on. I'll try and find it and post it to you.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
It'll remind me if I forget.
Sounds like, you know, because this is also interesting. Probably because I'm like really new to it, but I just think, oh gosh, just like such a wealth of knowledge in this one area and how much it can do. And I think that a lot of people don't even realize like the scope of what you can do with EFT. And then, you know, if working with a practitioner to do the matrix reimprinting, of course, is a whole different level, but
it is. And the thing is, I suppose the thing that probably, I would use the word irritate, that irritates the hell out of me, is when I read posts and somebody goes, oh, I'm tapping, I'm doing this and I'm tapping on that, and I'm not getting any shifts or it's not working. And I'm like, I want to pull my hair out. I'm going, you know, because I will never ever say to somebody who has got big blocks or big issues, like say depression or whatever their issue is, oh, work on yourself and clear it yourself. I still, if I come across a big thing in my life that I'm thinking, you know, I'm tapping away and I can't get this cleared, I can't move this, I will go to my mentor. I'll go to him and fine, within 5 minutes, he has me either crying or it's shifting and cleared, and I've made and I'm thinking, why can I not do that for myself? And he's like, you know, you don't treat yourself. Doctors don't treat themselves. You don't work, you know. There are times, of course, I tap on myself for lots of different things and I make really great progress. But for the big things, no, I'm not going to waste my time, you know. So when people try to work on themselves, a couple of things will either happen. They won't call themselves on it. So very rare will people really call the truth on themselves. Because sometimes when I'm tapping on myself, I'm like, you know what, Sorcha, you need to get out of your own shit and out of your own head and your own ego. I will be brutal with myself. Because if I'm not brutal with myself, then I'm wasting my time. I won't be brutal with a client. I'm harder on myself. I definitely am. But I will call a client on it. I will say to them, but in a gentle way, you know, in a nice way. Because you have to be honest. You have to get into the nitty-gritty to really clear it. So a lot of people aren't willing to get honest with themselves. They're not really wanting to go there. They'll start tapping. They will get very emotional. They'll get very upset. They will really be sobbing and find themselves in a tough place. And they'll not know how to get themselves out of it. They'll not know how to go and where to go so that they can begin to find the resolution and lift themselves. So then they decide EFT doesn't work, or EFT makes you feel worse. And that is the danger with EFT. That's when people start tapping on themselves and they get into trouble and they think it doesn't work. So you do have to, you know, you could get sessions from a practitioner and to help clear the really big stuff. In between sessions, you can be tapping on yourself because you've a bit more experience and you know maybe where to go, or you've got the direct line to your practitioner and you can say, I'm in a really bad place. Great. I will always make time for a client who's maybe in a bad place, you know, because you can't just leave somebody. I've been there. I'll never do that to somebody. So it is really important to know what you're doing. As Gary Craig says, don't go where you don't belong. You know, and you can tap on anything. I use it for pain. I use it for stress. I use it for my beliefs and things. You know, it's a good way to keep my energy and my vibration up, and I notice when I'm off track. I had thought of something else to say to you there.
So it really kind of just energetically overrides things. Like what if you're really in a crap mood and you're just like, you know, if you start tapping somewhere, is it really going to diminish that crappy feeling? Mm-hmm. Or are you still going to be like, I still feel like, what do you notice the change?
So for instance, the thing with tapping is, I look at some tapping scripts and some tapping videos on YouTube, and they're fine. They are fine, but they're too general. And for EFT to work, for tapping to work, you have to be specific. You have to be specific. So, you know, a word that I might use, I'd say, oh, even though you're angry, but the word that you might be saying is, I'm effed off, or I'm full of rage. Well, I'm tapping on the wrong words. That's not relevant to you. Mm. So you need to be specific. So when you start tapping, you always tune in, and you're tapping in. Say you feel and you can't get yourself lifted. That's the exact words you use. You will say, even though I feel and I can't get myself lifted. That's what you say, because that's how you feel. Sometimes I tap and I go, this shit isn't working right now. I cannot get myself lifted out of this. This is crap. This is the biggest load of crap. You know, because that's how I'm feeling. You know? That's
an important tip. That's important.
So important.
Use the words that are actually in your head. Don't try to fluff it up.
No.
If like every other word that you're thinking is a swear, say it.
Say the words and say it with conviction. It's really important. Yes, B.
It reminded me about tapping when you want to rant. You know, like this was really helpful for me when I was thinking about stuff that happened with my former husband. Like, if you want to rant about a situation, you know, like, I don't know, like that person who's really inconsiderate on the bus or something. Well, I mean, you can talk about this, Sorcha, but like what I was told is that it can be really helpful just to tap through the points whilst you're ranting, either to yourself in a mirror or to someone on a phone, but just rant while you tap. And because it connects with everything that's going on. Is that something that you recommend as well, Sorcha?
Oh, I have tapped and just said the F word. And I have said it with conviction. Do you know? It's the only word it could come, because then I'd be like this. But it's the only word that could actually physically say it, because that's how I felt. That is how I felt. And then the next thing, the tears would maybe start coming down, and then I'd really get into what was going on. But yes, you got to start with what you're feeling. You're absolutely right. You start off with what you're feeling, because sometimes in tapping, you think you're going to work on something, and then that is not what you're going to work on at all.
Yeah.
It's got a completely different.
Yes. Vouching for that one.
Therese could testify to that.
I totally can. I was like totally, like I couldn't even hardly put it into words. And I shared on Facebook too after my experience with Sorcha. I was like, not what I expected. You know, like my topic was confidence. And I don't even, that went like somewhere I never would have thought, like back to when my parents got divorced. I mean, and I was like 12, you know. and stuff around there I hadn't even thought of in like since probably then, you know, and I'm 46, so that was a while ago, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So yes, I can testify that it's probably nothing you would have thought of. So it's a process, like you said. It's like taking the layers off of something, because it's probably not what you're thinking, which is probably some sort of thing in your conscious mind that protects you from, you know, reliving that, or, you know, experiencing things again. Is that it's like, no, it's not that.
Of course. And
Really.
you know, and there was something you said there, I can't remember, it's gone, but oh, that was it. So when you start tapping and you think you're coming to me, oh, I want to work on confidence, and I'm going, okay, we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, with her little smug face, sure you do. And then I think I was like, what? What? Why is that face there?
But it was good. But because when you start tapping, then you're accessing the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is going to throw up whatever it is you need to deal with, you know, no matter how much you try and ignore it. It's going to keep up, and it'll just get louder and louder and in your face until you face it, basically. Yeah, you know. So yes, so it's really important to be specific, to use the words that are true to you. Really important when you're tapping. No judgment. No judgment. No judgment on yourself. You know, if you're the type of person who doesn't really curse, but all you want to say is the F word, but you're feeling bad, then you tap around that. I feel really bad because I want to say the F word, and I've never been allowed to say the F word, but I so much want to say the F word. Tap around that till you can say the F word, if that's how you feel, you know? Because otherwise you're just suppressing your feelings. So there's no judgment. There's no judgment. A lot of times, sometimes when I work with people and they're tapping on things, and say it's maybe about a parent or about a partner, and they feel guilty, so they don't really want to say it out loud what they're really thinking, because they feel it's disloyal and not fair and not kind. Again, there's no judgment. You're dealing with feelings, and you're tapping on these to let these go, because regardless of how guilty you might feel or how disloyal you might feel, the feeling's there. You're already feeling it, so you gotta let it go to find the resolution.
That's a really important point.
The amount of people that feel, and I can't say that because, you know, I'm so bad for saying that or thinking that. It's just a thought, it's just a feeling, it's just energy. Let it go. Tap on it and just be kind to yourself. No judgment. And I'm certainly not judging anybody. You know, it's not for me to judge. I'm just there to help. And also, when you start tapping, you would tune into something. So something you maybe wanted to work on, and you're tuning in. Say, for instance, we'll say pain for now. And you give the pain a number between 1 and 10. It would be the same for a feeling. So say depression, you know, how bad you're feeling. 10 would be the worst. And as you tap, what you're trying to do is bring that number right down. You're trying to get it to 0, 1, 0. And that's how you get an idea of what you're feeling, by giving it that number, by tuning into it. And quite often, when you start tapping, and maybe you'll feel something in the front of your head, say a headache, and you start tapping, and the next thing it'll move to your jaw, or it'll move to another part of your body. And that's the energy starting to move. That's a beginning to shift. That's a beginning to move. It can be the same with anything, really. Just depends on what questions you ask that you can help tune into. And we can go over the tapping points, and we can do some tapping if people have time and there's something they want to do. The tapping points that I don't use when I'm tapping with clients would be the finger points. But the finger points are great for in public. So say you're sitting on the bus wanting to rant at the whoever's annoyed you, or I've actually used it for period pain when I've been out in a shopping mall and I've been like, oh, I can't even get up, and I would just tap on my finger and bang, cleared it, gone away on about my day. So the tapping points that you would use are actually the outside of the nail. So they're the outside of the finger. So when your palm is facing you, and you can tap with 1 or 2 fingers. You don't tap on the ring finger. And you skip to the little finger. You don't tap on the ring finger because there's actually a point in the hand. It's a gamma point that you use, so you can tap on the outside of the fingers. It's really good for being in public because you don't want to be looking like this here. Or, you know. So it's good also, you know, if you're on a plane and you're nervous, you're not you don't like to fly, it's great for that. Really anything, you know, in public.
So why don't we practice one, and then we'll take a few minutes, because we're almost at the hour already. Take a few minutes and see if anybody has any questions, and then also share how anybody can get in touch with you if they have further questions.
Okay. Well, I'll first of all go around I'll show the tapping points. A few of you probably already know the tapping points, but I'll just go over them. So you can tap with either hand. You can tap on either side of the body. You can chop and change halfway through a sequence. It's really forgiving, so it is. It's forgiving if you skip a point, not a big deal at all. And we always start on the karate chop point, which is the fleshy part of the hand that you would use in a karate chop. I'm right-handed, so I tap on my left hand, but you can chop and change. Some people even do this here, you know, so you do whatever is comfortable for you. I usually tap with 4 fingers on my karate chop point, but you can do 1, 2, whichever. And you just start to tap, and that's where you start to tune into the problem. That is where you will start to tune into what it is you want to work on. And in EFT, we do set up statements that start with even though, and this is where we would do them. But we can come back to those. And then I go to the top of the head. So the central part of the head, again, I use 3 fingers for that. And you would just tap on the top of your head. So you're tapping on your energy system. So you're not trying to crack a walnut. So you be nice and gentle with yourself.
Even if this is a walnut.
Even if it is a walnut, you don't need to, you're not trying to crown yourself. You're just nice and gently on your energy levels, okay? And then you go to the eyebrow point. So again, you can do both sides, 1 over to the other side, whichever is comfortable for you. I use 2 fingers for the end of the eyebrow. And you tap maybe 7 times on a point. But again, it's forgiven. So if you only tap 3 times and move to the next point, or you've tapped 15 times and moved to the next point, that's okay. The next one is the end of the eye. So just that round bit of the eye where the bone is, and you're just tapping there. And again, you can do it with 1. You can move over to the other side, whichever is most comfortable. You're just tapping gently. And then the cheekbone, just under the eye. Again, whatever, 2 fingers, 1 finger. And then under the nose, just above, just on the lip. Just tapping there again. And then our little dip in the chin. So just in the chin where our dip is, tapping there. And then that sore point I was telling you about earlier on, your collarbone point. I've actually noticed that I tap like that there on my collarbone, put all my wee fingers together. So it's funny what you do. And again, you can do it like this, whichever.
Does it matter if you do, but like, should you do both things at the same time? Doesn't matter. Very forgiving.
And there we've got energy moving when somebody's yawning. Ooh, good sign. So, and then the next one would be under the arm, where the lady's bra strap would be. And again, just the pads of your fingers. And just tap in there. And then we're back. You can go on to your finger points if that's what you would like. So onto your finger points. Just the side of your fingers. And back to the karate chop point. And there, that's your tapping point. Again, if you skip a point or you get mixed up, you know, I can send you a tapping point chart as well to share with people.
Yeah, I want that chart. I love seeing stuff laid out. I'm a very visual, planning,
really
linear sort of person. Yeah, I like to see it.
We know. So yeah, so is there anything that there's energy moving for B, that's good. She hasn't even started yet.
She's like, yeah, my energy is I want to go take a nap right now. That's
oh, that's a good point. That's another thing.
fatigue. Yeah, can you like do
quite often when you do a big EFT session, you can really need to sleep afterwards. If you've moved a lot of energy, you can really be like, it's like you've been hit by the emotional train. You're just like, whoa, and you might need to sleep after. So it's a really good idea if you plan to do any kind of energy healing or EFT, to not have something planned for afterwards, to allow that time where you just need to lie and rest to help your body recover and restore. I know I slept loads after when I first started. The marathon sleeps.
no EFT imprinting session and then off to Disney World? Don't do that.
Definitely not. Definitely not. No. So yeah, look at me. Look at her go. Woo.
Is there anything that anybody specifically wants to do a little exercise on?
Oh, there's Carrie.
Carrie!
I was going to actually say something and then Therese put in the exercise at the end. But it's just really interesting because my insomnia has been like annoying the hell out of me all week. And like today, but I did loads of energy work yesterday and I slept all day today. And I'm like correlating that with yesterday's because it was all about anger and frustration and things like that. But it's just like, I know me and Sorcha have spoken at length and I'm going to be doing work with Sorcha. But I know with Michelle, I've talked to Michelle about some of the stuff that we've both gone through or whatever. And it's like, there are things that maybe are so big that we kind of think, okay, that's connected with. But I'm sure when I was younger, there's a load of things that I have blocked out, like growing up in the Troubles and having like going to different schools and things that have happened to me that I know that are probably waiting to come up and be released. So I just wanted to say to Michelle, because we have talked as well, and I think it will really help if you find a good fit with Sorcha, if you do. But it's just really interesting because even the things like, I've done a lot of EFT, but I can totally understand with Sorcha how people get really like confused or they give you the generalization. And so for me, like, because I'm Irish, like we swear a lot. And so I probably haven't been doing it for me. I've been doing like generalizations and not specific enough to me. And so that's why whenever I'm doing like a lot of energy work and things like that, like I always want to go to somebody to do it with, because it's like for me, like going to the gym and getting a personal trainer is more helpful for me than doing it on my own sometimes. So it's just like, it was really good actually coming on the call because I was like, shit, I haven't been fully specific in what I've been doing. And especially because of my sleep thing, I am like so like fucked off about it that I was like, if I tried to do that before coming on the call, I wouldn't have probably done the right wording.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see how actually so specific you need to be.
So I mean, Gary Craig, so the founder of EFT, he really is not a fan of scripts and videos. He really is not. He doesn't like them at all because that's what he says. For you to get the shifts, for you to really get the energy moving, And to get the shift, you have to be specific. But you just have to be. So some of the, and of course, one of the big pulls for the YouTube videos is the money story. Everybody wants to fix their money story. They want more money, and how can I have more money? And they're tapping on these general scripts, and they're spending hours tapping on these general scripts and wondering why they're not getting anywhere. And a money story is linked to your self-worth. It's linked to how you value yourself and your self-worth. And if you have traumas, if you have issues from your childhood or from any part of your life that are not resolved, and you don't see yourself as worthy, you don't see yourself as deserving, you can tap on all the money scripts you want. People would say to me, oh, can you work on me and my money script? Nope, because that's not how it works. You got to resolve the traumas. You got to resolve the issues, the low self-esteem, the reasons that you think you are not good enough. Then the money story will come. Then you will see your value and your worth.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. Like last year, it was all like how to make, a certain amount of money per year, whatever. And then I think people are waking up this year to actually think, like, even myself more included, that like it's actually your traumas and whatever you've been told as a child. Like I was always told I wasn't good enough, or I was a failure, or I was a disappointment. And so I think that's why, even though I was like a high academic overachiever, you're still told that you weren't good enough and that you were never deserving of. So that's why I know that I've had all these career changes and I've done all this stuff, and I've never really fully succeeded because in my mind there's still a you're not good enough, there's still a thing that you don't deserve to have this. And so it's really interesting that I'm like you were saying earlier, like you never go through this stuff in vain, but it's actually awakening to the fact that you have a lot of maybe traumas underneath. So it's nothing to do, it's not that you're wrong or you're not doing the right thing or you're not doing the practical steps. It's like the mind and how you actually feel about yourself. So it's like kind of good that when people know about this stuff, but for people that don't know, it's kind of, you feel so shit about yourself that you're like, why the fuck isn't this working? Like I'm doing all this, I'm paying out a shitload of money to do work and to work with coaches and business people, but you haven't actually dealt with the inside, the mind part first.
And you are you're a high achiever. You're a very accomplished, intelligent young woman, and your conscious mind has helped you read all those books and learn all that information. That's great. It's working at 5%, but the subconscious mind that's telling you you're not good enough and you're the biggest disappointment. I don't care if you've got A stars and a first honours degree and a master's and whatever, you're not good enough. You just don't deserve. I mean, how much better can you get? But your subconscious mind, which is playing the drama, and you see, the subconscious mind has absolutely no concept of time. None. Okay? So if a trauma happened to you, say at 3 years of age or 8 years of age, then the subconscious mind, that is still happening over and over and over again in real time, because it doesn't compute, oh, that happened 30 years ago. It doesn't compute that. It's computing that it's still happening because you're still traumatized and it's still triggering. So it doesn't matter that it happened really 30 years ago to in your conscious mind. To the subconscious mind, it's still happening until you resolve the trauma, until you resolve the blocked energy and let it go. So when all of you read your posts on Facebook and you read things that trigger you and things that annoy you and things that irritate you, and you read everybody's money story and what they're earning, what they're not earning, remember this: it's only energy. Everything is energy. That's all it is. What you read is energy, what you hear is energy, what you see is energy. And if it's triggering something in you, then it's in you, and it's in you to resolve. Don't take it personally and don't judge it. Don't judge yourself and don't judge others, and that frees you up a lot. It's hard to do. Oh, it's a hard practice. It really is.
You have to go live in a monastery or something.
Oh,
not get on the internet, not listen to news, not.
But you still, you know, if you've got a windy, rainy day, you're gonna say, "Oh, that's a shitty day. You've judged it." You know, there's judgment everywhere.
True, no matter what.
You can't escape it. It's like there's judgment everywhere, and it's just compounding your energy all the time. You know, there are posts, and I'll read them, and I'll read the first lines and go, "Oh no, don't want to read it. Moving on." You know, because I can't let that get in at me, because it'll trigger me. You know, and I'm like, no, not interested. Not part of my reality. And so you just remember everything is energy. You have to go, all right, Darlene, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that you find something useful in it. Thank you, Darlene. Have a good day. So yes, if there's any questions, Angelique, if you want to ask any questions, or any of you,
let me unmute Angelique real quick just to see if she had anything.
I don't have any questions. Thank you, though.
Okay.
You're welcome, sweetheart. No problem.
Okay. Michelle.
Me again.
Good.
Here I am.
That's great. Ask me a question.
Okay. How long do you work with people? Does it depend on the person, or, you know, what's your story with working with people?
It depends. It depends on a few things. It depends on the levels of traumas that they've had in their life. It depends how deep-seated those traumas are. It depends how much they believe, you know, the decisions or the beliefs that they've made about those traumas. For me, when I started working, I worked for quite a while with the guy that I went to every week. It took me, well, you know, if you compare it to talk therapy that you could be in for 15 to 20 years,
right.
Yeah. You know, if somebody does EFT for, you know, 4 weeks or 6 months, then that's a very short time in comparison to years and years and years of going from one talk therapist and psychologist to the other.
I did that already. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You'll definitely start to feel shifts very quickly and different perceptions in EFT, but it depends on the trauma and it depends where the person is. So I will never force somebody to go somewhere that they don't want to go. However, it is my job to get them to that place where they can resolve it. So for some people, it might take a while longer. They really might have a very tough time remembering details or remembering it or wanting to go there. And that's fine, because there are ways around that. Excuse me. So again, depending on what the traumas are. It also depends when I work with people and to see how they work with matrix reimprinting. Some people maybe find it, I find it personally, I find it difficult when I first started it. I just could not do it. Then I got the hang of it and great, you know. So for me, when I was doing it, I worked through my traumas and then I just wanted to clear a wee bit more. You know, I thought, I'm on a roll here, I'll just keep on going and keep on clearing stuff. And so it really does depend, Michelle, on where the person's coming from and what they're having to deal with. Mm-hmm. And also, you can have somebody who, if they told you their story, you would think, oh, you know, that's horrific and, you know, what an awful trauma. And they might think, you know, it's okay, I've resolved it, it wasn't that bad. You might have somebody else who comes to you, tells you something that you think, oh, that wasn't bad. But to them, it's the most horrific thing that could happen to anybody on earth. Because it's their perception. You know, whether they were the child when it happened or an adult when it happened, it's the perception at that time.
Right.
And that's really important where non-judgment comes in, because it is not for me or anybody else to decide how somebody is feeling or what impact something has had on somebody. Mm-hmm. It's only important for that one person. That's all that matters.
Okay. So do you do like a consultation to figure out what level a person would need? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I usually email a form form with quite a bit on it that delves into a person's life. And then when I get that back, I'm able to see the different traumas that have happened. But sometimes, if they don't remember something, then they're not going to get to write it on the form, which is fine, because I'll just start working with them, and it will come up. It will definitely come up, so it will. And that's okay, because it'll come up when it's ready to come up.
Okay. I'm going to contact you because this is something that I find fascinating. And, when I heard about matrix reimprinting, several months back when I was doing that clinical trial, I was interested in doing it, and then the opportunity slipped through. So anyway, I'll contact you. Thank you.
Lovely, Michelle, and thanks so much for asking so many questions and giving me feedback, chatting, and it's been lovely.
I thank you because this is so interesting to me, and and I laugh because if somebody would have told me, like even 5 years ago, that I would be doing the energy work that I'm doing now in my life, I would have said they were full of shit. Because I was like, what is this energy crap, whatever, and then something shifted, and I read something. It was Visualization for Weight Loss by John Gabriel, and he talked a lot about EFT, and that I had already known about it, and I had gotten Nick Gordner's video, blah, blah, blah. So it's been there for a while, and so, people are coming into my life that are there for a reason. So I'm listening very, very carefully. And I've done some work with Carla, and she's wonderful. There's some things that I really feel like are ready to surface, to bubble up. And I'm ready.
Good for you. Good for you.
I'm feisty too.
Well, I suppose that's why I started off with the difficulty is that people don't understand energy. They don't believe in energy. You can't see it, and they don't understand it. But in the same way that, we don't see the radio waves for our radio, and we don't see the TV waves, and we don't see our cell phone waves and all of that, but the energy is there. Whether you see it or whether you don't, it's there. Right. And we are energy, we vibrate. I mean, I know when I'm not vibrating at a good point. I know, I feel it. Mm-hmm. But that's why a lot of people's lives aren't working, because they're not aware. Mm-hmm. They haven't come on that journey yet. They're not open to it. They don't understand what, and I suppose then that's when we see them in that victim mode. And that's fine. I have been there. That's not judgment, but it is where they feel powerless. They genuinely feel powerless, and because they don't understand. Right. They don't know how it can get any better.
Right. I think the correlation that you just made was exactly the one that John Gabriel made, which was we don't see these waves. Like, we don't know about microwaves, yet it heats our food, And when I started going for Reiki, about a year or two ago, I have to say that I didn't really believe it was going to work, and then it did. Yeah. And when I went for acupuncture, I had miraculous results. And that's when I started to believe, well, maybe there is something to this, because I had experienced no pain after that. And it was like, oh, okay. So here I am diffusing my essential oils and talking about EFT, and I need a crystal now. And it's just so funny because
I've got one right here that I've got next to me.
Yeah,
spirit quartz.
And it's nice. I just think it's hilarious where life takes you, because, like I said, if you would, people look at me now, they're like, oh, she's like granola. You know what I mean? Like, she's into that woo-woo kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, I am, because you know what? It works. Mm-hmm. And I was in therapy for 100 years, and, that didn't do shit. So, why not try something else,
And the people who say it's woo-woo are the people who don't understand.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the truth is that I'm really happy in my life right now, and I think that that's because of a lot of the work that I've done, and because I've opened my mind to different things, and also that I got rid of a job that was sucking the life out of me. But anyway, enough about me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Carrie, my darling, do you have anything you want to say?
No.
Oops, whoops.
Yeah. Did you hear me there? Yeah.
What did you say?
No, I just said thank you so much for that. It was really good.
Oh, you're welcome. Very welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
informational. So informational, really.
You
Oh,
have
thank you.
courses type form today. I was like, that reminded me to get you ready for next week so I can work with Sorcha. But yeah, no, it is like I've done so much energy work working with one-to-one last years, but it's like I think you get like the age of you think it's gonna, be solved in a matter of months, and then you actually think that you've been, through so much in the space of how many years. So you have to really kind of take it as it comes and go with it and just kind of resolve it each time, and there's still more to kind of resolve. So it's kind of good that you're like, right, okay, I'm going to do it now when the opportunity arises and get it done. So.
Yeah, and if you're happy to keep on peeling the layers of the onion and keep on going, and yeah, absolutely. And if you think about the amount of years it has taken us to reinforce these beliefs and to experience all these traumas, and it's not going to happen overnight, but we just start on the journey and keep going.
Yeah.
And resolve the deep-seated traumas so that we can have a better life.
And I think the good thing with this too is that you have tools that you can use yourself. So you're not just going to somebody else, like when we're talking about talk therapy, you have to go to them to talk to them, right? So with this, I mean, yes, it totally like amps up when you're doing it with a practitioner, but then you've got the tools so that in between you've got methods that you can use to manage.
Absolutely.
Which is
and
super
a point
important.
of contact if you get yourself into a difficult situation and you're like, oh God, then yeah, you've got a point of contact then to say this, I'm in a bad place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did I cover everything? Let me see.
We just didn't do like why don't we do a one run around of of the points with like something.
Okay.
So that we have a practical practice.
Is there anything that you ladies can think of?
Something general, just a general, like quick kind of whatever. And I'll mute so that we're like, if we're talking out loud, that we don't hear everybody talking.
Okay, I'm trying to think of something that we could all do.
Can be.
Let me think. Do any of you have any ideas, any suggestions? Is there anything at the moment for any of you? Is there a lull in energy? Is there a...
Yeah, energy. I would like my mojo back, please, because I feel like this.
Magic mojo. Let's work on magic mojo.
Okay, so what we're going to start with is we're just going to place our hands on our heart center. And I just want you to envisage that you are breathing from your heart, that your heart is doing the breathing in and out. And just take 3 deep breaths in and out. Just when you're ready to start tapping on your karate chop point. Okay, and just repeat after me, even though. I can't hear you. But you're all on mute. So I don't know if you said it. Okay, even though.
Oh. I unmuted.
Okay, thank you.
Even though.
Even though my energy is at an all-time low.
Even though my energy is at an all-time low.
I deeply love.
I deeply love.
And I completely accept myself anyway.
And I completely love and accept myself anyway.
Even though.
Even though.
I just want my mojo back.
I just want my mojo back.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
Even though.
Even though.
I have all this heavy energy.
I have all this heavy energy.
I deeply love.
I deeply love.
And I completely accept myself anyway.
And I completely accept myself anyway.
Top of the head. All this low energy.
All this low energy.
Eyebrow. I can't seem to get motivated.
I can't seem to get motivated.
Side of the eye. Just is too hard.
Just is too hard.
I have no energy.
I have no energy.
I just want my energy mojo back.
I just want my energy mojo back.
But I don't know how.
But I don't know how.
I have such little motivation.
I have such little motivation.
But that's okay.
That's okay.
Because I love and accept myself anyway.
Because I love and accept myself anyway.
Yes, I deeply love.
Yes, I deeply love.
And I profoundly accept myself anyway.
And I profoundly accept myself anyway.
All this energy.
All this energy.
I'm energy.
I'm energy.
I'm moving, vibrant energy.
I'm moving, vibrant energy.
And I choose.
And I choose.
Right here, right now.
Right here, right now.
To get my energy back.
To get my energy back.
To lift my energy.
To lift my energy.
To feel my energy vibrating.
To feel my energy vibrating.
I choose now.
I choose now.
To feel my energy.
To feel my energy.
Moving higher and higher.
Moving higher and higher.
Getting my energy mojo back.
Getting my energy mojo back.
Even though it feels so difficult right now.
Even though it feels so difficult right now.
I know I can do it.
I know I can do it.
Even when I think I can't. I know that I can.
I know that I can.
Because I'm energy.
Because I'm energy.
I'm energy.
I'm energy.
And I'm ready to feel vibrant now.
And I'm ready to feel vibrant now.
I'm ready to let go.
I'm ready to let go.
Of this heavy, stagnant energy.
Of this heavy, stagnant energy.
I choose to release all this heavy energy now.
I choose to release all of this heavy energy now.
I can do it.
I can do it.
And I will do it.
And I will do it.
I deserve to be free of it.
I deserve to be free of it.
I choose to be vibrant.
I choose to be vibrant.
I choose to take things lightly.
I choose to take things lightly.
And let go of this heavy energy right here, right now.
And let go of this heavy energy right here, right now.
Because this is my time.
Because this is my time.
And I deeply love.
And I deeply love.
And I completely accept myself anyway.
And I completely accept myself anyway.
Yes, I deeply love.
Yes, I deeply love.
And I profoundly accept myself anyway.
And I profoundly accept myself anyway.
And one deep breath.
Woohoo! Ready to go run a mile. Not really.
Yeah.
I don't run, so.
Every time I tap, I almost get like a I get like a little high afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, without the drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that feeling. And it's So it's really important then as well to like even put your feet on the ground and then send your energy down and ground yourself, because sometimes after a tapping session you can be like, ooh, you know, you do feel woozy. So if you do a ground and then just feel in your body and feel
It's like after I drink kombucha, I feel that same way.
yeah.
I feel like stoned a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Now, some people do. So but that would be fine. We can, if that ever happened, we'd ground you after that, so that you're not going about like that, so that you're coming back into your body.
I don't mind it.
You're on a high, literally. Yeah, what about you?
What was that?
What about you, Carrie?
Sorry, I can hear you there. Yeah, I know that was good. I just feel like so tired today, like that feeling.
Heaven.
So yeah, hopefully that'll help. I mean, like I'm starting this like exercise game, things like that, but also trying not to stress myself out. But I just haven't been able to get motivated in doing work. So hopefully that'll help to really lift a bit of that shitty energy and just get rid of it again, so I can just do stuff, because I feel really like unmotivated this week.
But that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. Like just give myself like a break from it, really.
I mean, you took that big, you've moved to Romania and hit the ground running.
I know, true. And I did a lot, like it's so funny, I say I'm not motivated to do work, but then I do like client work every night, and you know what I mean? It's like,
but then that's a pitfall of a high achiever, because it's never going to be enough. It's never going to be enough.
I know. It's like today, I was like, right, I'm going to get up early and I'm going to get all this work done. And then I slept all day, and I was like, my default is to just be like, fuck's sake, like, can't believe you wasted the whole entire day. Like that continues. It's so weird. It's like we do it all the time, but I know when I'm doing it.
If your body needed the rest and you were smart enough to listen to your body.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because my phone is not switching on, so I am assuming that was making me sleep the period of time that I needed to, and to just switch, because I've got WhatsApp, and like my family are still like texting me every day being like, Sue, how's the work going, Sue, whatever, and I'm like, so I know that that's a reason why it's off, so I don't get stressed or triggered or feel like, you know, crap that I'm not doing anything.
But when you say you're not doing anything, you probably are, but to you, you're not doing anything.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, that's why we're working again.
Yeah.
It's so funny how you, like, I say it, and then when somebody else points it out, I'm going, oh yeah, exactly.
But that, just remember that is, if you are a high achiever, which you are, then you know you do have to sort of pull back and go, it is good enough. It's good enough if I send one email today and that's all I'm fit to do. That's good enough. Because a high achiever just wouldn't know when to switch off. They're just go, because it's never going to be enough, and it's never going to be good enough, and it's never going to be perfect. So I have to keep going till it is.
I woke up feeling that way too, like just really tired, and I was really gonna just blow the whole day off. And I have a Pinterest board to raise my vibration, and it's all like really nice quotes and just things that make me feel good. And after I looked at some of those things, I felt better, and I actually wrote the thank you cards out for my birthday party, and then I was reminded that I had this talk, and now I'm feeling totally different. But I know what you mean, and sometimes I binge work, and then I'll take like half the day off the next day, and I allow myself that, because when I really am not feeling it, I'm not putting stuff out that is from my heart. So, that's how that's why we have our own businesses. You know what I mean? It's part of the reason is so we can set our own schedules. So like if I'm like really exhausted or I'm just not feeling it that day, fuck it. You know, I'm just like, whatever. I send a few emails, and sometimes that's all I do, you know? And I really just allow myself that, because if I have to force myself, then I feel like I said, it's not coming from my heart, and it's not gonna net good results anyway.
That's right. You're resistant energy. If you're forcing yourself to do anything, then you need to back to energy. Always come back to energy.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, girls.
Oh my gosh, thank you so, so, so much. And I am totally open to more suggestions of what kind of workshops to offer through the Inspire View series, because I'd really like to have one every month.
Oh, good.
Different subject, or, you know, could do a redo, whatever. I've done the one with Amy Brooks, which ended up turning into a whole 90-day writing program. And now Sorcha's awesome one on EFT. So if you think of anything, anybody who's watching now or later, just let me know, because you know, I'm a researcher and I love to connect with people. So researching, planning, strategizing, that's the stuff I like to do. So I would love to learn new things as well, like this. So please just either message me or help, whatever, post underneath here.
Sorcha, I had already said that I was interested, but I don't know, we'll talk more, but we had posted in WOW about it, so I definitely want to talk to you about it.
Yeah, you can PM me if you want to PM me, or you can send me an email on Sorcha McAloon, EFT@gmail.com.
Okay. And Charisse, I'm sorry, I had said that I was definitely interested in talking to you about doing something with you. So I'll just send you a reminder about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll chat. Thank you so much, ladies. And thank you so much, Sorcha, for this awesome time that ended up going longer than I anticipated. But it's so awesome that we had this forum to have questions answered. Just know that, you know, people's questions are always relevant to other people. Which I love, because I was never the person to raise my hand for things, really. So it's always great, like when somebody's like, you're like, yeah, good question, you know, right? So I'm sure that'll come up, like, for plenty of people who watch the replay too.
I hope so. I hope that, and again, anybody can send me any question that if they need something clarified, it's not a problem.
Yes, and please do, because she's so responsive and such an awesome person, really.
Thank you so much. Thanks, girls.
Thank you.
Bye.